A very good evening and a warm welcome to all the viewers on the Singhania School YouTube Live, a channel which is of the Solonians, by the Solonians, and for the Solonians. On behalf of our principal, ma'am, Mrs. Revati Srinivasan, it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce our guest today. It is a privilege to have an ex-Solonian on this platform with us, Mr. Rohit Pradhan, who will be sharing with us his journey of success. Mr. Rohit Pradhan is an eminent part of the sound industry and is super successful in what he does. He has carved a niche for himself in his field and is and owns his own studio, the Mixbox Studios, which is located in Thane. Working as a full-fledged sound designer, he has created a lot of projects for musicians, directors, production houses, advertising agencies, and so on. Some of the blockbusters that he has worked on include Thakre, Reggae, Time Pass, and so on. Today, he will be talking about all the technicalities involved in sound production and audio production. He will also be guiding us about the current opportunities that we will have in the sound field. So please help me in welcoming Mr. Rohit Pradhan to this platform. Sir, over to you.
Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Uh, Good evening. I'm Rohit Pradhan. I am a ex-Salonian. And today I am going to speak to all of you on careers in sound engineering and audio production, which is basically a very subjective term, but a lot of professions are coming together under this sound engineering term. So today we are going to discuss on that. I will take you through a, a PPT which I have made for you, which will be history, then prerequisites to become a sound engineer. What is a sound engineer's job all about? Institutes in India and abroad where you can go and study this. What degrees you will get, and then we can have a Q&A with me. Uh, Ankit? Yeah, next slide. Yeah, so recording has been around 1877, where Thomas Edison uh, figured out how to record on phonograph. So that is where it all started. And the need for recording was uh, artists and performers realized that if they perform today, their performance can be heard or seen at a later date. So that meant that it can be archived. So that is how we are still hearing old songs because they were recorded then. So the need to record or archive a performance was the reason that a profession was developed out of it. So they needed a professional guy to capture that performance, to capture that recording. And that is where the sound engineer, the sound recordist, the recording engineer was born. Ankit, can you take us to the next slide, please? So, sound is an art and a science. So that's why uh, making this as a formal education took quite some time. BBC is credited to coining this term. BBC started calling their sound technicians as sound engineers who were doing a multiple jobs, who were recording, who were broadcasting, who were setting up microphones for the royals in Britain, who were these professionals started being called as sound engineers, and that is where the term got imprinted into anyone who's in front of a console is a sound engineer, which is true in every sense. But the engineering part is a little subjective. You can call it a audio producer, you can call it a sound artist, you can call it a mixing engineer. So that is where the sound engineering term came into being. So let's take an example. There is a creator, there is an artist, there is a singer, there's a performer, there's an actor, and there are you guys who are the listeners who absorb that content, who watch it on YouTube, who listen on Spotify, Apple Music. There has to be someone who brings the artist to you, who records the artist, who mixes him, who masters him, and brings and gives you the output. So that is what, that is where the sound engineer comes into, the audio producer comes into. uh, the a sound engineer is assumed or considered to have great or amazing listening skills. We'll talk about them later. And he has to be both a technical and a creative person. Also, communication plays a very important role in with the sound engineer, where he needs to constantly communicate with artists, with producers, with music composers, many times um, through through giving them advice or giving them technical advice. So in a nutshell, this is what is the core of a sound engineer or an audio producer. You will always find me using this word, using this term audio producer, because that covers a wide range of activities nowadays. Yeah, Ankit, next slide please. So now we've just seen uh, the first two slides, the history, why there's a need for archiving and documenting, how did it become a profession, and how the term. Then we will go through the modern day sound engineer, what he does, where where are the places that a sound engineer can work today, and what are the prerequisites that you need to that you need to know, or that you need to prepare yourself. How do you, how at a young age, or how when you are in 10th standard or 11th standard, you start preparing for a career in media? What do you need to do? Then we'll talk about training in India or abroad, uh, wherever you can go, but I'll talk about institutes both in India and abroad as well. We'll talk about the a professional life of a sound engineer. How, what are the challenges that he's facing today, and then we'll go for a Q&A. So next slide, please. So this is the first recording machine with the first sound engineer on the planet. That was Thomas Edison, the great inventor, as we know. And he is being credited to know do the first ever recording um, of this poem, Mary Had a Little Lamb. So he recorded that poem on this phonograph, and this is where it all started. Next. So job profiles. Let us see where all sound engineers can work. So music is one of the first vocations which attracts a lot of candidates in sound engineering. 90% of the candidates are musicians or love music, and that's why they want to become a sound engineer or an audio producer. In fact, even I am a musician. I started performing keyboards and piano. I completed my Trinity College exams when I was in school, and that is where I started reading about this profession, going to studios at a very early age, seeing the equipment, and then absolutely being in awe of it. The next professional field which employs sound engineers is television and radio. But here it's like a pressure cooker. You need to be really competitive and attentive when you're working for television and radio, because the reason is you're live most of the time. And when millions of people are watching a program or broadcast live, there is very little chance of error. You cannot make a mistake. Then we come to film sound, one of the most challenging uh, uh, fields in sound. film sound also includes music as well. So like, uh, today I'm a sound designer, so I need to design the sound of an entire movie. If you want to know what a sound designer's job is, while watching a movie, turn the volume off. When you turn the volume off, you will know everything mutes. You just see the visuals. Now slowly start turning the volume up and you will know what a sound designer's job is. So he takes care of dialogues, he takes care of every small sound that you hear. He takes care of the ambiences around. So if there is a scene which is shot in a market, he will add on all the market sounds. So he will go to a real market, he will get them recorded. When there is a chase sequence, you hear the footsteps. So those are designed by the sound designer. Most of the horror films, if you turn off the volume, you will not get scared, because the horror film, 80% of the film, 80% of the horror is created by sound. The fright is created by sound. So a film sound is also very interesting and a very vast field. I mean, that is one vocation which is highly recommended for young sound engineers today. The next two professions are are the are the most wanted professions now and in the future. A lot of opportunities are going to arise in forensic audio and restoration. So, forensic audio, as you know, forensic means investigation agencies, uh, intelligence agencies. So, recording phone conversations, clearing them, knowing where the person is speaking from, which phone he's speaking from. So, forensic audio has a lot of opportunities coming now and also in the future. And the last one is acoustic architecture, that involves building auditoriums, cinema halls, recording studios, recital halls. And a very few architects in India do this professionally. Very few architects. A lot of them concentrate on building malls, buildings, but there are very few architecture firms who specialize in acoustic architecture of auditoriums. Usually, we need to hire a professional from abroad to do this. So that's an opportunity where lot of job opportunities can come there if someone if he or she is studying architecture and concentrates on acoustics. Yeah, Ankit, next slide, please. So here you see a mixing console, which usually is looks very complicated, but it is very easy. There are the rows that you see are called channel strips, and you just have to learn one channel strip to know the rest of them. This mixing console allows the sound engineer to shape the sound, to adjust the sound, to pan the sound left, right, stereo. So yeah, next slide. Again, this is the modern film mixing studio. This is the Blackbird studio in Nashville, USA. It is a Dolby Atmos setup where they mix uh, content for Netflix, for Amazon Prime, for films. So as you see, the overhead speakers are the speakers which are um, on the ceiling, where and the speakers at the ground level are seven speakers. So it is a 7.1.4 hybrid setup. So this is how modern studios, modern film sound design studios look like. Yeah, next. So what uh, you may be thinking, how do we know or how do we prepare ourselves for a career in sound engineering or audio production or music production? So the first prerequisite is, you if you do not like music, this is not the career for you. I'm sorry, I'm being very blunt, but this is how it is. If you need 100% passion, you need to be passionate about music, you need to study music. if not theoretically, if not as a musician, you need to study how music is played back. I mean, how musicians have produced their albums. So my next pointer is, it is not necessary to be a musician, but being a musician definitely gets you brownie points. So being a musician, you will understand the scales, the time signatures, the chord progressions, how every instrument performs in a given environment on a given track. Ear train. Back when I started, uh, I grew up in the era of cassettes. So it was not like, today on Spotify you have a playlist. To make that playlist, we needed to bring in the cassettes or give a empty cassette to a cassette shop owner, and he would put all the songs onto that. So I have grown up listening to cassettes, from cassettes to CDs to MP3s, or good quality MP3s, I should say. So keep listening as much as you watch. Today, access is not a problem. There is Netflix, there is Amazon Prime, there is YouTube, and there is good quality content on that, with which you can study, and which you can, okay, this is a movie which has a good sound. This is a series which I like for the visual effects, for the background score, for the sound design. So training yourself with the resources that you have today is not a difficult task. It is very easy, but then you need to do it religiously. You need to, okay, I have watched a particular series and this is what my observations are. Even if you can make a critique out of what you're watching, it will help you in the future. Now, the next point, should have a ear for the good, bad, and the ugly. Many times we take sound at its face value. We do not get into a critical listening mode as, was this song sounding better than the earlier song, or was this song sounding worse than the earlier song. So slowly your listening, your ear will tell you that if you practice. So you need to do that yourself. You need to know the good, bad, and ugly of the sound. You need to know, oh, this is a cheap quality MP3. This is not what I want to listen. I need to hear a better quality audio file of this song. Or this is a low res video. I need to watch a high res video. I need to watch a HD video. So this is what you should be striving for, watching high quality content quality wise, and listening to high quality audio quality wise. My next point is, stop listening to cheap MP3s, because they definitely spoil your ears and your brain also. I have done a TED talk exclusively on how cheap quality MP3 can spoil your hearing on the long run permanently, and how it can affect your brain in analyzing certain frequencies and recognizing them. So, uh, a cheap quality MP3 will sound really bad. Your ears will tell it to you. Your ears will tell. When we see a blurred image, we know that the image is blurred. So a cheap quality MP3 is a blurred image, out of focus image. Whereas a good quality MP3 will be a clear, crystal clear image. So stop listening to cheap quality MP3s. It will definitely help you in the long run. Know who are the sound engineering greats in India. Like we have some greatest of the greatest sound engineers in India. Unfortunately, people or youngsters have no clue about who these guys are. So I'll name a few for you. You can Google them. You can study what they have done. So we have Daman Sood, who's a pioneer who's recorded the who and who, and I mean he's the greatest of all. We have Nakul Kamte, who has done films like Lagan, Dil Chahta Hai. We have Razul Pukuti sir, who has won an Oscar for his work in Slumdog Millionaire. Uh, we have mixing engineers like Justin Joes. We have Srijesh Nair. We so these are the greats. We have Avinash Oak sir. We have Shantanu Hudlikar sir, who's the head of Yashraj. Who's we have KJ Singh. We have AR Rahman's team has some brilliant engineers. PA Deepak. We have the late H. Sridhar sir, who used to work with Rahman. Unfortunately, he's not with us today. Uh, we have A. Sivakumar, who also works with A.R. Rahman, a brilliant sound engineer. So if you can study their work is out in the open. These guys have done some tremendous amount of work. Their work is out in the open. If you can even listen to a song mixed by one of these guys who I have named, I think there's a lot to study, a lot to digest, a lot to imbibe from these greats. So the reason I am talking about this, about having idols, is I was just talking to Vaijanti Miss the other day. And I said that when a kid in India wants to learn cricket, he knows his idol is Sachin Tendulkar. He knows who his idol is, even if it's a 8-year-old kid. But a 20-year-old guy who's walking into an institute to learn sound doesn't know about the idols he or she wants to follow or keep as idols. So have inspirational personas who have shaped the career or the vocation that you would be studying. Sound engineering can be done after 10th, 12th, undergrad, postgrad, or even now at the age where you all have a computer or an iPad. Creating music and sound is not a difficult thing today. I started at 15 where I had very few resources. So yeah, you can start anytime, even now. And having computer knowledge is very, very important. Knowing how a computer works today is, I think, next to the most important prerequisite that you need to have if you want to do sound. Because today computers are getting faster. Do you want to use a Windows machine or a Mac? The versions, everything matters when you're doing audio on computer. So know your computers, know your devices well. So these are the basic prerequisites that you need to do as a homework for a course. I mean, when you actually step into the institute, the prerequisites may change according to the institute. But if a institute conducts interviews or if they do a pre-scanning, then these are the points that you need to know before you go for an interview, or you give a written test as an entrance test. FTII, the Institute Film and Television Institute of India, does have an entrance test. So you need to know all this, at least this. I hope it's clear. Um, Ankit, next. The most important uh, point here: where to train. So we have divided institutes in India and institutes abroad. These are institutes which I have personally researched. I have studied at University of Westminster, where I did my MA in audio production. So let's go point wise. The first institute is the FTII, the Film and Television Institute of India, one of the premier facilities or the training institutes where you can get yourself educated in every aspect of filmmaking, be it acting, direction, editing, sound design, camera, still photography. So the benefit of studying at FTI is it is one, it is the government institute, so it gets good funding and it has some of the greatest equipment. Also, FTII has uh, old equipment, so you get to study a era. You get to study. Okay, this is what used to work in the olden days, and this is what the modern equipment is. SRFTI is in Kolkata, Satyajit Ray Film Institute, again a government institution. There's a new institute which has come up, TAG, the Audio Guys. I am on the board of the members for this institute, and I highly recommend this because it has online courses, which even after your 10th or 12th or 11th, you can just go onto their website and sign up for an online courses. So locally, I would highly recommend the Tag Institute for anyone who wants to get into a basic course for sound. Sound Ideas Academy, again, a very good institute in Mumbai, which trains specifically for sound engineering. Now let's go outside India. I mean, there are a lot of options outside India, but I have listed some of the best in the business. So there is University of Westminster. I am a little biased because I studied there. There is Full Sail Institute in USA, one of the premier sound engineering colleges on the planet at the moment, giving some of the most fantastic equipment and classrooms for the students. So Full Sail definitely worth a check. Vancouver Film School, if you want to study film, I mean, if you want to study sound design for film, definitely Vancouver Film School in Canada. uh, then comes the CRAS. The full form of CRAS is Conservatory for Recording Arts and Sciences. It's in Arizona. Beautiful institute. Again, very thoughtfully made prospectus and curriculum uh, designed for professionals. So the CRAS has an entrance exam. University of Westminster has an entrance exam. So these FTII also has an entrance exam. So this is where the prerequisites will help you. Musicians Institute, Los Angeles, I guess so, and Berklee College of Music. So these are music schools also. So if you want to become a music producer, a musician, and a sound engineer, Musicians Institute and Berklee College of Music will definitely train you to become one. I have missed out one institute, that is the KM Conservatory, which is headed by A.R. Rahman. So that is in Chennai, and they are opening a branch in Mumbai. So that is one institute that I missed out here. Yeah, next. So now we come to the reality. What, what, how does a sound engineer work day to day? First of all, there are no weekends. There is no public holidays. Uh, I once asked my senior that, sir, when will I have an holiday? And he said, the day radio, television, and cinema halls are perpetually closed, you will have. Ideally, we are in an ideal situation where cinema halls are closed, but your online OTT platforms are streaming content after content. So they need technicians to make that. The field is extremely competitive. The stronger you train yourself in the prerequisites, and the stronger you are, and the better you and the create more creative you are at your craft, it will get you more work. Being technologically driven, this is a field which is about technology. You need to be passionate about technology. If you don't update yourself for 3 months, you are left behind by a year, because so many things are coming new. Every fortnight there's an update. Every time there's something new which is done, some new technology is used. There is a lot of catching up to be done. So constant reading, being on blogs, reading the right magazines does help. If you ask me about pay scales, it's all subjective. It all depends on your skill, how skillful you are. The better, the more experience and the better skill gives you better pays. There is this unique pleasure of being in a room where music is created, where a unreleased film is being mixed. So that is a different feeling altogether. With that, okay, you are witnessing, you know a music being created for the first time, and then it is going to be released and being heard. So yeah, I guess we are ready for questions. Oh yeah, There is one more slide. I'm so sorry. Uh, so what are the opportunities? There are plenty of opportunities. There is the OTT is growing in India with people not being able to go into a cinema house or entertainment park. They are glued to their mobile phones or their iPads or their laptops or their fire sticks and watching series, movies online. So the OTT growth is multiplying. It is not going to decline anytime. The demand has risen. Educational qualification is emphasized. So if you have a certificate from a reputed institute or from the list that we just discussed, definitely your chances of being employed at a studio or at a TV channel or at a radio channel or a film production house is more. Uh, this is a business as well. I mean, I used to run a course at Thane College, and I remember there is a candidate from Kalyan who has set up his own studio. So, setting up your own studio or your own podcast company is is a business in itself, and you can study and start being an entrepreneur. Again, as I said, there's a huge gap in the market uh, in audio forensics and audio architecture. I think there was a question which flashed. Can I see it again? Could you please suggest? Okay. Uh, what drew your attention towards this field? I have to give 60% credit to uh, school because I used to play the keyboards, and we had music teacher Dixit sir who is retired now. So Dixit sir used to tell me to used to ask me to get the keyboard and perform at annual days, at Parents' Day, and eventually that also got me hooked on to electronic music. So that is what drew my attention towards this field. And then when I was in college, I was a part of a rock band, and we once went into a recording studio, and I was in awe of what I saw. So that is what drew my attention to this field. There is one question. Could you suggest a reputed institution? I have already suggested the institutes in the PPT. You could go to all their websites, but if you are asking for a local institute, then I would suggest Tag, the audio guys, which is a very good institute. So you could just go to their website and check. Yeah. Any live questions? How do you decipher what exactly is expected from the script when you work on a film? So, very good question. Usually, when we work on a film, we need to write a sound script. So, there is a bound script of a film. I'll tell you something about the film Thakre. So, when I got the script, I was reading it. It was like a biography of late leader Sri Bal Thakre, and I was required to write a film script, sound script, because the film starts in the past and comes into present. So half of the film was in black and white, so I had to write a sound script. So um, uh, usually the script gives the sound designer a lot of cues as to where the characters are, what are they doing, and then he designs a world which is not written in the script. So it's a very creative process. I hope I have answered the question on that. What are some challenges that you face in the field? Lot of challenges every day. In fact, we have a saying in our sound engineers Bible that whatever can go wrong will go wrong, even if it's technology and even if you're in a perfect scenario. So challenges are many. You uh, first first and foremost challenge is it's a very hardworking field. There is you have to reach before the actor comes in for the dubbing, and you can leave only after he has left. Or if you're doing music, you need to start preparing for the music recording session. So challenges are And I'll tell you, challenges are like a, a surprise fast ball. You know, you think the bowler is going to ball a short ball and he balls a fast googly. So challenges are dependent on the reality of the situation. Uh, what are the skills required to be a good sound engineer? I think I have discussed this, but uh, listen to music, listen to absorb as much as you can visually and sonically by listening and studying and learning. If you want to learn music, great, because that will help you a lot in becoming a good sound engineer. How should one who is new go about putting themselves out there for finding work? Great question. Uh, the sad part is there are no classifieds. So very few times a job portal may be able to find a job for you. Usually the institute that you are studying at is connected to a lot of studios. The professors there are connected to a lot of studios. So you can start from there. You can start as an intern, or you can start. That's why having idols helps. If you have inspirations, you can just go to them and ask them, sir, can I just can you mentor me? Can you let me work as an intern with you for some time? And that is where, that is the roadmap that will take you to your dream job or a destination. Read the answers. I will take a reference of viewers. Okay, I'll do that. So to level yeah. Okay. What are some of the basics that a person should be aware of before stepping in the field? So there's this question. What are some of the basics that a person should be aware of before stepping in the field? I feel it is the basics are required at the parents end also, because they also need to be prepared. This is not a 9 to 5 job profile field. This has subjective pay scales. So as I said, the experience and your skill adds on to your pay scale. So two very important things, because this is what matters in most of the professions. Uh, so these are the two basics which the parents as well as the candidate needs to know. But otherwise, passion for music, passion for doing something creative, passion for being a creator, yeah, these are sound. Okay, again a very interesting question, and I've been through this. The society does not accept creative industries like sound to provide a steady career. What are your views? uh, it is changing. I feel earlier, for a long time, these professions were considered as hobbies in our country. Oh, that is his hobby. He just plays keyboards and that is just his hobby. More so, he's going to do something else. But now I feel people have made careers, people have got Oscars. I mean, I can talk about myself. I started off playing keyboards in the school and I earned the Filmfare Award in 2015. So yeah, the perception is changing there. And it is also on the person how professional he puts up his career and his passion. Is the word of mouth publicity equally important to build contacts in this field? Absolutely, word of mouth publicity is very important to build contacts, but in the right way, at the right place, with the right people. I think I have already discussed what are the skills required to be a good sound engineer. Okay, good question. What are some of the myths about this industry? Lot of myths. Uh, the most the most frequent myth is someone who is an outsider always tells you this is a bad field to work in. This is not a good place to work. This is not. So this is the biggest myth. This is a very good place to work. It is getting more and more organized. There are government associations which support you if you are a professional. So there is a Sound Engineers Association in India, which is a nationally recognized association, which gives you all the benefits in a legally also. They give you all the support that you need. So yeah, it is. There are a lot of myths, and uh, you know people have half knowledge about a lot of things that are creative. Okay, what are some of the most interesting projects that you have worked on? I am currently working on two very interesting projects. I am doing a series on war. I cannot specify which war because that is under the wraps. It is starring Abhay Deol, and I am just completed a series for Eros now, which is on human trafficking. I have my series with Amazon Prime original called Bandish Bandits will be released anytime. It's almost done. Films wise, I still cherish the work that I did on Balak Palak, which was a Marathi film. Then Thakre, of course, very memorable film. Then I have done a short film which is on YouTube, which is called Abba Aikta Na. It is a story of this deaf grandfather. So it is also a very interesting project that I have done. Does one okay? So I think that answers interesting projects. Got one question. Does one essentially need an independent setup? Yes, absolutely. Today, being mobile uh, is the most important. In fact, anyone who wants to study sound needs to have a setup before he starts the course. Take it in writing. Needs to have a setup. So any institute will tell you, okay, buy this laptop, have a sound card, have a headphone. So anyone who's even getting into audio education needs to have a setup. In this next question, in is this field so competitive? Practically has no breaks and has a subjective pay to top it off. How should one stay motivated to follow through with a job in this field? Uh, you have to make your own rules. You have to the candidate has to have his own routine and follow a discipline. Like initially when I used to work as an assistant, I never used to take breaks myself. But now when I work as the main sound designer, I see to it that every half an hour I walk out, go have a tea or a coffee, or just take a breathe of fresh air, because you're always in closed studios like the one I'm sitting right now in. Staying motivated is you have to know that this is a profession where your skills are considered, where your skills are given a lot of importance. So you have to sharpen your skills. The faster you become professional, the faster you become good at what you do, the better you get paid, and that will keep you motivated. What keeps me motivated? The work that I do and the passion that I've uh, uh, cultivated over these years. And I feel that uh, this drives me. This drives me to do better work. Uh, Creatively, also as a creative person, I get to work on some good things which motivates me. Are okay, we have another question. Are there enough opportunities for sound engineers in India? Yes, opportunities are growing. They are there. They are very much alive. Opportunities will keep growing because, as I said, OTT is going to grow. It is going to require Netflix. Just go on LinkedIn and see how many job Netflix wants. What is the most stressful part of being a sound designer and engineer? Having a half baked team when I'm doing a movie, and when few people in the team know what they are doing and few people don't know what they are doing, it creates mess and it creates delays, unwanted delays. So that is very stressful at times. Working with technicians who are not prepared or who are not passionate about also is stressful. So yeah, these things do get stressful sometimes. We have one more question. Does getting work entirely depend on skills, or does your qualification also play a part? I would say qualification does play an important part, but then after the qualification, it's all about your skills. It's all about how you sharpen them. Oh, sir, what would be the minimum investment required for set up a small studio? Uh, this is very subjective. I mean, setting up a small studio can be, if again there are too many questions here, but I mean attached to this question. So if you start from the equipment onwards to a small bedroom setup, it can be anywhere starting from a couple of lakhs to, there is no limit. There is absolutely no limit. uh, what software would you suggest for beginners? If you're a musician, I would suggest Ableton Live or Fruity Loops to start with, Cubase. Uh, but Ableton Live is a good starting point because it helps you create music with loops. So yeah, we have one more question, sir. What if someone doesn't make it in the industry even after years of working hard? Oh my God. Uh, I don't know. I mean, I think they should diversify. They should, they should then look at options within their skill set. Okay, I know this, so what can I do with this? Is sound engineering a stable career option? If you decide to make it stable, yes. We have one question. Any advice you would like to give to those who have interest to take up this career in a particular field but are unsure because of parental or social pressure? Uh, I feel they should take things slowly. They should slowly prove their interest and their passion to their parents. They should tell them that okay, this is what I want to do, this is what I am wanting. Speak to experts, speak to professional sound engineers who are in the field, someone like me. uh, know your aptitude, who can help the parents study their candidate as to okay, your guy can do this, your girl can go ahead and become a sound engineer. So unless they do that, it will not work. How do we put ourselves out there to find work? It's today, in fact, things have become much more easier. I mean, LinkedIn, Facebook, or these are platforms where a lot of employers are, a lot of talent searches are happening, a lot of headhunting is happening. But uh, if you want to be professional, I would suggest LinkedIn, having a profile on LinkedIn with your work samples. Yes. What would be the cost for the courses, be it in India or abroad? So in India, uh, of all the institutes that we spoke about, I think the starting fee is somewhere around 3 lakhs, and ranging up to 10 or 12. Uh, if you go abroad, then that figure multiplies twice. So you start at somewhere around 20 or 20 odd lakhs if you go abroad. Okay, I have a question. Now that content creation is the in thing, if I wish to become a sound designer, should I start with Radeon Movies TV or Digital. Okay. I had to interpret that. Uh, so sound designer should I? So, if you wish to become a sound designer, then you need to also look into a lot of content. So there's this thing on YouTube called ASMR. I don't know if you have heard it, but it is the coolest thing in sound. So it just brings you very close to a sound source and makes you hear that. So you can do that. You can start with digital and then get onto movies. You can make your own sound movies. So a lot of options there. What is the best part about your profession for you? I have a question. What is the best part about my profession for me is it is creative. Every day is a new day at work. There are no 2 days which are similar, even if I'm dubbing the same actor or I'm doing Foley with a Foley artist. Um, every day is a new day. Every day is a challenge. Is there any other branch of sound design apart from mainstream media? Yeah, absolutely. Sound designers are required today. Podcast is a huge thing. You can design sound for podcast. There's audiobooks. You can design sound for audiobooks. There are a lot of apps. Audible is coming. Storytel is there. So you you don't need to be doing a film. You can do sound design on different game audio. I'm so sorry. We have not spoken about game audio, but game audio is going to be big in India. So designing sound for games, absolutely. So yeah, your answer is game audio. Any other questions? How do you get inspiration for working and producing sound? Uh, when I'm working on a movie, the visual is my inspiration and the script. So the director briefs me usually about what is his vision of a sound. So usually the visuals and the story inspire me to do and produce sound. Any more questions? Can you please explain the difference between the sound engineer and okay. Uh, so there's a question, very valid question. Can you please explain the difference between a sound engineer, a music producer, and a sound designer? Okay. As I said, sound engineer was a term coined by BBC for technicians, which so sound engineer can just be a recordist, or a recording engineer who's recording day-to-day activities, or a live sound engineer who's doing live sound, concert sound, stuff like that. A music producer is someone who's an arranger. The in earlier days, the arranger he was called an arranger, but today he's called a music producer. So music producer is someone who's producing music. So a music composer may compose music, but he may have a team of music producers to produce that music. So music, most of the music producers are also sound engineers. Sound designers is again a very wide term. It uh, takes into account your, uh, you know, it takes into account professionals who design sounds, musical sounds, who design sounds for films, who design sound for games, who design sounds for spoken word. So everything. Yeah, I guess we've done with the questions, and I hope that you have uh, learned something new and about a new profession and how to go about it.
Thank you so much, sir, for such a wonderful session. It was truly amazing learning about how exciting a field like sound engineering and audio production can be. I am sure that through today's session, You've inspired a lot of students like myself to explore this field as a profession. The
Thank
standard
you.
11th and 12th students of mass media had a wonderful opportunity last year to visit Mr. Rohit Pradhan's studio as a field trip. Do join us next week as we will be back with another session where we will have Mr. Amit Narendi talk to us about careers in radio jockeying here on the Singhania YouTube Live platform, which is a platform of the students of the Salonians by the Salonians and for the Salonians. Before you log out of this platform, remember to click the bell icon and subscribe to the channel so that you keep getting notifications about further sessions whenever we are live. Thank you and have a wonderful evening ahead.
Thank you. Thank you.